The Lord of the Rings returns to the big screen in an all-new way through the 2D stylistic anime The War of Rohirrim, and though it's connected to the original Peter Jackson trilogy, it may be a piece of history we could have done without. Hey everyone, my name's Tom, a lover of all things movies, and I adore Peter Jackson's original Lord of the Rings trilogy since getting to experience those movies through the extended editions on the big screen not too long ago. And although I wasn't too sure what to expect of The War of Rohirrim, I still went in hoping I'd leave having loved it. But the truth is, I unfortunately didn't, and I think it's kind of just an okay movie at best. But that's not me saying it's a bad movie, it's just me saying it's not a particularly very good movie, although I think it could have been something special had it not been for the 30, 40, dare I say 45 minutes of the runtime of this movie that easily we could have done without because it just dragged it down so much. To start with, what I did genuinely enjoy about the movie was its exploration of how certain lands and areas in the Lord of the Rings saga came to be. The biggest one, of course, being Helm's Deep, and with it, there's also a small share of characters that are actually interesting and could have been really great if they were only given more depth. Hera, the main heroine of the movie, I did particularly enjoy, but ultimately she boggles down to being a fairly by-the-numbers play on this type of overlooked and less superior to believed character, especially when others surround them in the battlefield. And though Gaia Wise brought the character to life through a solid and respectable voice performance, and there's definitely more room for the character to grow and become one that I do love, it just isn't very present in this particular movie. Brian Cox also stars in this movie as Helm Hammerhand, and he's actually possibly my favourite aspect of the entire thing. He's the father to Hera and the king of Rohan, and he's actually one of the quite enjoyable aspects of the movie, even though he unfortunately does disappear for a noticeable amount of the film in around its middle section. But nonetheless, the character's very stoic, and when thrown into action sequences, really shines as this beacon of hope to his people and daughter, who actually, they do have a great relationship on screen together, and I did appreciate the execution in that department. And though they do try to pass that sense of walking hope and light to Hera, it unfortunately just works to a lot less captivating effect. Though it is Hammerhand that kicks the story of this movie into full gear when he causes a rift between him, his people, and Hera against Luca Pasqualino's Wolf, who's the antagonist to this movie and again also one of the film's stronger characters who's gone down this sort of path of revenge, which ultimately is what this movie really is, a revenge story, just one that runs far too long. The anime art style The War of Rohirrim is presented through, however, was a very strong point of the film to me and a particular surprise, because at first, through the trailers, through some of the clips, I just felt it all looked a little dry and sort of stagnant in terms of how the camera was moving across the different environments and such. But in the movie, that's definitely not the case, especially when there is a heavy action sequence to hand. It really does get quite immersive in that regard. My particular favourite action sequence in the movie comes quite early on, where Wolf attacks the people of Rohan. It felt like the movie was really moving now, it was really kicking into gear, and it was really getting me engaged. But then I realised, oh, we've got about another hour and a half of this film left, even though this feels like we're kind of reaching a bit of a turning point. But we weren't. And so, honestly, I think the ultimate problems of this movie and the things that truly bring it down is the runtime. It's far too long, and I understand the other Lord of the Rings movies are like double the size of this one, but they had the hook, they had a story I was genuinely invested in, and unfortunately, this movie just doesn't have the story, the characters, or that hook to really sustain its runtime, and as such, it gets brought down by it and makes a lot of the problems come to the surface. By the end of the day, the War of Rohirrim is your generic revenge story simply presented through a pretty filter, and that's just not enough. It's not a bad movie, it's not a very great movie, it's just okay. But not everyone is going to feel that way. There are going to be some people who really love this movie, and there are going to be some people like me who, it was okay. And there's going to be some people who just genuinely don't like this movie. And that's all good. That is just what I've got to say on it. If you saw the War of Rohirrim, be sure to drop your thoughts down below, because it would be great to hear. Drop your favourite character, your favourite action sequence or moment, all of that good stuff, and engage in the conversation. Thanks so much for checking out this video, guys, and I'll hopefully see you in my next one. Take it easy. Bye.